here is what to pack for your winter weekend hiking trip based on everything I haphazardly threw in this bag before my friend comes and picks me up in like T-minus 20 minutes. So here we go. First question I get a lot is favorite winter hiking boots. I live up in northern Wisconsin. I used to live on the Minnesota North Shore. I am a frequent flyer on the winter hiking trails. So I use Steger Mucklucks. These are rated to minus 40 degrees. I rarely go out and hike when it's minus 40 degrees, but you know, there's pretty much no traction on the bottom. These are actually not gonna give you that much traction, but they're great for super deep snow because they're tall, and usually you can actually like untie these laces and tighten them up like gaiters so snow doesn't pour over the top, melt, and then like drip onto your feet and freeze. That's like the #1 way you're gonna end up with really, really cold toes. So tall boots is great. If you're hiking on icy trails, I don't recommend these at all, unless you're gonna pair them with some sort of micro spike. I like to use the Yak Track runners. They've got spikes on the ball of the feet, coils on the heel, and they work pretty well. You can't feel them through the actual sole. As for winter hiking boots in general, taller is better. I've heard that the Oboz Bridger mid hiking boot is a really good choice for winter hiking, and I also have the low cut Steo Coulter boots that I like for just like casual hikes around town, and those pair better with micro spikes. They've got a thicker sole, but I'm only bringing these this weekend. That is it. I got ready for this trip in about 20 minutes. Usually I spend a lot of time packing, trying to figure out what I want to wear and that sort of thing, but it's actually gonna be like high 20s, low 30s, which is pretty warm for up here. So I'm wearing a base layer underneath a wool sweater, and then usually I would wear base layer pants underneath my canvas overalls, but I've opted to cut those for today. So here's what I threw in my bag. This is not a wool sweater, but it's gonna look really, really cute underneath my overalls, and I'm not worried about being that cold. So this will be an outer layer. #1 thing that I do want for winter hiking is a base layer. This is inside out because I did pack haphazardly. This is a smart wool. There we go. Base layer. This is what I'll wear when I'm actually hiking next to skin. You pretty much always want wool for your cross-country skiing or winter hiking because it's gonna stay warm when it's wet with your sweat, and you're gonna sweat. Winter hiking is like a little bit more work than regular hiking just because you're fighting the snow and ice. You're like using more muscles to stay upright. If you don't like wool, all of my clothes are inside out. A synthetic top of some sort as a base layer also works well. I think this is an Athleta one. Yeah, this is just like a basic Athleta top. And odds are you probably have something synthetic in your closet, so don't, I always like tell people not to rush out and buy new gear. Same gig for actually base layer pants. I almost always wear a pair of Athleta leggings and not wool base layer pants. The exception to that is if it's really, really cold, I'll wear base layer, wool base layer pants, or if I'm kayaking and it's cold out and it goes under my dry suit. I work as a coastal kayaking guide in the summer on overnight trips. And so a lot of my gear recommendations have been tested on long overnight trips when I'm dealing with people, I mean, helping delightful people who are stoked to be out paddling with me, which is super fun. I don't do any winter guiding right now. It's like a nice people break season for me. I love guiding. I love guiding. These are they're also inside out. These are my Fjallraven Keb curved trousers. Wow, this is gonna be, no, it's not reversed. Is it reversed? It's reversed. Anyways, this is the size I wear. I size up like a half size if possible in these. And they are, I'm gonna actually turn these right out so I can explain what actually goes on with these. Or at least half of them because I'm lazy. Waxed canvas. So they're like water resistant. They're a little heavy duty. I feel when I'm not up north, if I'm like home in Michigan visiting my family, I feel ridiculous wearing these, or even for that matter, like canvas overalls. But up here, you'll fit right in. We all dress like this. It's awesome. But these are like mildly water resistant, super snow friendly. And if you can pair that base layer bottom underneath, you're gonna be happy. And there's vents, like you can zip open the side. Very sexy. Is that all I brought? I guess that's all I brought to hiking. Yeah, again, it's gonna be 20, 30 degrees. Darn tough socks. I did bring 2 pairs of socks because I'm gonna sweat through them. Inside my hiking bag though, I'm gonna bring a bottle of water that I'm gonna refill periodically. Spare wool socks like directly in the hiking bag that is coming with me because again, the thing that I mentioned about the thing that you want in a pair of winter boots is that they're like tall enough that the snow isn't collecting around your calf and melting into your shoe. In the event that that does happen, you want to have a dry pair of socks to change into because you're gonna get like frostbite. And then I'm not gonna wear this while I'm hiking, but I have this deceptively warm, well-loved down puffy jacket that folds down to like, I can get it smaller than that for sure. That's a really good layer to have in my hiking bag just because if it does get cold, it's really easy. Usually I'll throw it on underneath a wool sweater and like pop the hood up over the top, and that'll keep me warm. More often than not, I'm using that like if I'm stopping for a snack. I'm always bringing a snack. I can't find my sunglasses right now. Usually I would bring those too. I'm really hoping they show up because I have some like eye problems from guiding and being outside all the time. I'm packing a snack bar. Sometimes I'll pack more snacks than that. If I'm feeling like real fun, I'll pack a thermos of hot water and make a hot tea for myself while I'm out hiking. I have not had the energy or willpower to do that lately. Sometimes I'll pack a Garmin InReach, but everywhere I'm planning on hiking this weekend, I know for sure has cell service because it's areas that I guide in the summer and I'm super familiar with those areas in general. So like obviously I'm not saying nothing bad could happen, but for me, it feels like my home turf, my neighborhood. I am still bringing a first aid kit. This is like my ultralight first aid kit. It is literally a plastic bag, same plastic bag for like a summer and a half now. But it's got Band-Aids. This is like, it's not molded yet, that's saying something for me. A Soul Outdoors, what is it? It's like, I'm trying to think of the word, like foil bivy. This is like your emergency shelter in case you were to fall and break your leg and not be able to call for help. You could crawl into this for the night. I don't anticipate that happening. I'm also going with a friend. Yeah, other stuff in here is just like your normal first aid stuff. I do always carry glucose gel. My partner's type 1 diabetic, and one of the things that has occurred to me throughout my like kayak guiding career is occasionally people need glucose gel and didn't pack their own. So I always have that. I also carry water purification tablets, which is not super relevant right now in the winter because there is no water to purify. So yeah, the rest is just like ibuprofen, triple antibiotic. I should throw this away. That's getting nasty. One day I'll do like a full first aid kit one, but some sort of blister patch is always good to carry. Probably overkill for, again, the type of hiking that I will be doing this weekend is probably nothing more than 4 miles, and 4 miles would be truly pushing it. I feel like there's something else. Anyway, here's my first aid kit. Most of the basics, ibuprofen. The only thing that's like really important for the like 2-mile hikes that I'm doing, like truly make or break if you have it, is the emergency bivy, especially because it's the winter, just in case you were to need to spend the night outside. There's also batteries in here. Oh, hey, I've been looking for my eye drops. They're in here. Oh, this has like stuff on it. And then in addition to that other layer, another layer of roughly the same purpose. Usually this is more of like a guiding holdover than anything else. I'll try and bring a cheap fleece, like purchased from a thrift store in a size XXL if I can find it, in case you run into someone else who is cold and needs help. And again, that's more of like, I work as a paddling guide on Lake Superior. oftentimes we run into people who are like shivering on shore and have just capsized and like genuinely need the help. And it's not super helpful if I only have size women small and medium. But basically, base layers are really important. Bring more base layers than you think you're gonna need because you're gonna sweat through them. Definitely check the weather forecast. This is like my packing for a trip where it's going to be above 20 the entire time, which for me is like kind of balmy tropical. If you know you run cold or don't plan to sweat, you might want to dress warmer. I am going to throw on a coat before I leave the house. I'm going to throw a coat in my friend's car and not touch it for the entire trip. Like guaranteed that's what's going to happen, but like still bring one. This is a haphazard packing list. This is like a type of trip that I do pretty often, and I'm kind of a minimal person, so you might need more stuff than me, and that's okay. Bringing one pair of shoes, for example, that's a little bit crazy, but I brought one pair of shoes for a week and a half in Berlin too, so, and they were bedrock clogs, which, that's incredible. I'm not deleting this. I'm not taking another take. Another big takeaway that I think people should consider is a lot of people get really intimidated about winter hiking, and I don't think it has to be that way. Definitely there's more risk involved, especially if you're hiking up in the mountains where there's avalanches and that sort of thing. But I live and work and be on the Lake Superior Basin. Did we say basin? That sounded right. And if you're like looking for winter hiking near Duluth or Grand Marais or Bayfield or the Houghton Hancock area or Marquette, odds are any trail that is under about 4 miles on a weekend, you're gonna see a couple other hikers, maybe even a bunch. And the trail's probably gonna be broken completely. You may notice that I am not bringing snowshoes. I like almost never link to snowshoes, recommend people wear snowshoes or anything like that. That's because somebody else has already gone out there in their snowshoes and broken the trail for you after a snowfall. Like, unless it is a fresh blizzard and you are hitting the trail at like 5 a.m. freshly after that blizzard, you're not gonna need to break trail. Someone else will have done it for you probably, which that's a score. I recommend getting Yak Tracks instead. The caveat to that is I would get the running version of Yak Tracks. The other ones are just coils and they break really, really easy. So yeah, Yak Track runners, or you can actually get full micro spikes. Those are not as comfortable to hike in, but if you're like walking around on ice, those are better. So if you're going up the north shore of Lake Superior and you're trying to like photograph the cute little ice garden, ice structures, maybe you want something a little beefier than the Yak Track runners. I've always used the Yak Track runners. I have eaten shit, and I will again, but I'm okay with that. But the big takeaway is that this area, people get this idea that like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota is super, super remote and super, super technical to visit. And in cases that can be true, like I would never recommend anyone try and hike the border route trail up in the Boundary Waters in the winter for their first hike. I would always recommend people find some place with cell service. But for the most part, if you're Googling best hikes in this area, you're picking something under 4 miles and you research that hike in advance. You don't need to have a ton of winter hiking experience to go hike that trail. Like for example, I'm going to Bayfield this weekend and we might hike Houghton Falls. That's one I do very frequently. You can hike it, just bring traction. All right, got that done in the time I needed to. Rachel's almost here, so on to going and hanging out and spending a weekend in Bayfield.